Wow. They're not even clapping. Okay, unmute, guys. Austin, Ryan, unmute, please. Because you guys were deafened. Austin was deafened. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
All right, perfect. Okay, so that was a shit show, to put it lightly. Melania Trump is looking good, so good for her.
I had an internet crash in the middle, so I missed a little bit. When I finished, he was talking about how Philadelphia is terrible.
Yeah, he said that Philadelphia, he urged his supporters to go out and act as poll watchers, and how some of them were pushed away from a polling station in Philadelphia because Philadelphia is terrible. He said that they were probably cheating there. He's basically saying that they're cheating in Philadelphia. I believe, well, one, that's illegal. You can't actually go to the polls and intimidate and harass people. That would be electioneering. There's laws against that. As a matter of fact, you can't even, for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of people in here, you're not even allowed to wear political merchandise when you're going to the polls. Right, Ryan? I mean, I don't know if this is different somewhere else, but you're literally not allowed to. It's considered, it's illegal. So,
yeah, that's right.
And this has been going on for a very long time, and yet, for some weird reason, for Donald Trump, this is, this is something that he's urging his voters to do, just like he's urging his voters to, I guess, go out and he's urging his voters to go out and vote twice even, but then it's the joke when he's talking about North Carolina. So, yeah, I don't know. This is very bad. I ultimately, I think that Joe Biden's performance was horrible because more often than not, what we want from Joe Biden is something he is incapable of doing, and that is to be a younger person, to be someone who is robust on the stage and can actually push back and fight back and clap back and even, I would say, channel the anger that we feel towards Donald Trump in the past 4 years, channel the anger that we feel towards the Republicans. And that's something that Donald Trump does very well, whether we like to admit it or not. Donald Trump is very good at being the vehicle to express every single piece of frustration that, like, his base of support feels. And that's why when he's angry, or even when he's childish, even when he talks about things from a very selfish point of view, like, oh, the media is not giving me appropriate coverage over my Nobel Peace Prize appointment or whatever, that is applauded by his fan base, his base of support, because he has a cult-like base of support, certainly. But the reason for why he has that is because he's done a very good job saying, like, my angers and my frustration is your frustration. When they fuck me over, they're fucking you over, because I am the everyday, I'm the average American. I'm fighting for you, and that's why these liberals hate me, because they hate you as well. I really wish that Joe Biden wasn't as submissive, and I really wish that Joe Biden did a better job channeling that anger that I know a lot of you who are in this chat right now feel against Donald Trump and against everything that he's done and against the Republican Party specifically and their platform. So that's my take. I think overall it was it was above average for Joe, because he didn't fail to speak clearly for the most part. I think there were definitely moments when he had a couple brain farts, but overall he was way too submissive, and I don't think that's good. And I wish he was more aggressive, and he left a lot on the table. There was a lot of counter opportunities for him to have good moments that were clippable, and he failed to capitalize on them. Whereas Donald Trump came in like a fucking, he came in like a wrecking ball in the first.
Hassan, I'm all lipped up, Hassan. Come on.
He came in like a wrecking ball in the first, I would say, the first half hour, which is where it counts, as you all know. That's when most people watch the debates, and then a lot of people tune out by then. So, we'll see what happens. What do you think, Ryan? And then Austin, we'll get to you as well.
Yeah, but I mean, Biden was never going to be that guy that was going to, kind of carry the hopes of a nation on his back and deliver. They decided the Democratic Party establishment decided in this existential moment that the warrior they were going to put out on the battlefield, to save democracy, those are the terms that they often put it in, is going to be this guy, the guy that we just watched for the last 90 minutes plus. And he delivered the same kind of performance that he delivered mostly through the debate performances, except a handful of times when he did okay here and there. Like we were saying earlier, if this is a push and it gets Biden one day closer to the election, then maybe it's okay for him. He didn't do anything to inspire a whole lot of confidence that he's going to be a leader who's going to really be able to address all the problems that he correctly identified. But then the question is, what did Trump do to win back any of the people who have been peeling away from him, particularly people in the suburbs? If people are nervous, if they're scared, and they think they need a strong man to come in, it's clear which of those two is the strong man. If they think that he's an incompetent boob who's bringing in the storm himself, if he's the destabilizing element, then you vote him out. So it's still a referendum on Trump, is my take.
You know what? That's pretty good. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And American people are a lot of American people are definitely looking for stability, and I guess Joe Biden demonstrated that. I'm still.
I don't know though. I mean, I don't know if he quite demonstrated that he can bring stability.
Well, he didn't quite demonstrate he can bring stability, but he demonstrated that he's at least like a normal person, whereas Donald Trump was looking like a fucking maniac up there on the stage, and that's like really good for the Trump supporters. But I don't know if it'll actually move a lot of independents, or I don't even know if it'll move the people in the margins. My fear always is exactly what we talked about beforehand. And Austin, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. I know you're libbed up and you're ready to go. My fear has always been that Joe Biden getting rolled over, or Joe Biden having a lack of enthusiasm in his base to vote for him and rather people voting against Donald Trump, would lead to a lower voter turnout if he got like pathetically humiliated, or if he put himself in a situation where he looked really bad on stage, and that didn't really happen. So I think that is overall a positive. The bar is set very low for Joe Biden on my end as well. It's not like I'm going to not vote for Joe Biden because, like, no matter what the fuck he says, he's still not Donald Trump. So obviously there are a lot of people who believe in the same things that I do, but it was really, I don't know if this performance from Joe Biden will lead to less people overall voting for him come election day. Now, Austin, go ahead.
Okay, look, if you are a Democrat, if you are a Republican, your expectation of Joe Biden is on the floor for his performance in a debate. The Republican Party has framed him and the Democrats and people like myself and you, Hassan, has framed him as a stumbling old man that can't form a coherent sentence, right? This debate was a win for Joe Biden, in my opinion. He was able to put sentences together coherently, and he surpassed expectations, even my own expectations. Donald Trump needed a decisive victory here because to make up for a lot of the lost ground that he lost during the summer months, and I don't think he got that decisive victory. Okay, so I think, although it was a generally underwhelming performance by Joe Biden, that underwhelming performance was actually a performance that surpassed expectations, right? That's just where we're at. And I think that's a positive for Joe Biden. And I think if you're Democrats, I think you're actually really happy with that performance because I don't think it moves the needle. If you are
what you're talking about is people that are voting for Joe anyway. But again,
right,
you're right.
I think if you're a Democrat, you like where, and again, this is going to get into a nuanced argument about the polling and everything, but I think you like where your candidate's position is. And the best case scenario here for Joe Biden, he's not going to knock it out of the park. He's not going to move the needle. That's what you don't want. You don't want the needle to move the opposite direction, right? You just want this to be a wash. And I think it was even a little bit better than a wash. I think Joe Biden wins this debate. I do. I really do.
Okay.
I think that I do. I think that
by Trump losing, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, exactly.
You're saying that Joe Biden won the debate by Trump losing the debate by being like a fucking psychopath on stage and like lying.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's still, exactly. And I think that, to me, Trump needed to come out and have a home run performance. Even people within his own party,
I think he did pretty good, man.
We're saying that. I don't think so. Look, I feel like I represent the average liberal, or just the average liberal in America. And watching that debate, it was exciting to see Joe Biden not stutter over his words, actually land a few good blows on Donald Trump, and and put together a decent performance for Joe Biden. I think it was actually refreshing.
I don't know. I think that.
But my question to you is this: where were your expectations? Like, where?
It's not about my expectations.
What sort of Joe Biden were you expecting to come out here? You know what I mean?
I already admitted that, like, we need Joe Biden to be someone he's not for these debates. And that, what I thought was, like, maybe he'll fucking take some inhalants, you know? Maybe he'll be high off of whatever kind of adrenochrome that they're pumping into his belly. Like, I wanted Joe Biden to come out and call Donald Trump fat. I wanted Joe Biden to come out, maybe not call him fat, but, like, at the very least push back. There were so many opportunities where he could have fucking nailed him. He could have just put Donald Trump on the table and just fucking pile drived him into the ground. And he refused to do that. And he wasn't capable of doing that. And I think it's because he is low energy. He absolutely is not as good as he used to be. Look, we're talking about a guy who was a great retail politician. We're talking about a guy who could talk your fucking ear off for the overwhelming majority of his political career. Yeah, he was gaffe prone, but those gaffes actually made him look more lovable in the eyes of a lot of American voters, right? And this guy is now having a very hard time delivering coherent and insightful and visceral attacks against someone like Donald Trump, who left a lot of openings there. I mean, if you can't slam dunk with 200,000 dead Americans, if you can't slam dunk with a guy who recently it came out that he only paid $750 in taxes, if you can't slam dunk on that, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, this should not be a close race, is what I'm saying. And this debate should not be a close debate. If we had someone who was a little bit younger, if we had a Pete Buttigieg, or if we had an Amy Klobuchar, if we had someone who was a little bit more competent, that could demonstrate that they understand how fucking psychotic the current situation is, where we have an actual madman on stage, this would have been a drastically different outcome. Obviously, that person would also have to be a little bit more lovable, you know, not exactly like a Hillary Clinton type, but more so like a somewhere in between Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, you know?
I've been looking at the conservative reaction, and this just tells you a lot about how they're feeling in their own party. The conservative reaction, a lot of them are pointing to how Chris Wallace was helping Biden the entire debate. To me, that points to what I was saying, is that Trump needed a home run performance, and he did not get that. They're pointing fingers at the fact that Chris Wallace was it was a 2v1 debate versus Donald Trump.
That's actually a good point. You're right. That is a good point.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, they concede themselves that he's lost. It's not about how he gave it to Joe Biden.
It was kind of true, but and also media bias plays really well for conservatives. And the irony there is, like, Chris Wallace is a fucking Fox News anchor, and yet they can still pull media bias on this because it's the world against Donald Trump. And you can do that when you have a fucking psychotic, maniacal cult following you and has tremendous enthusiasm for you. But Ryan, what do you think about all this overall? I mean, the fucking Proud Boy stuff was really bad. We're gonna get to that in a second, but I want to hear more of your, like, overall analysis on how Biden did versus Trump.
Yeah. So thinking about how, you know, what the implications are, you know, for the election of the debate, because, you know, like you said, the whole point of the debate is not necessarily you know, to you know, win in the four corners of that debate. The point is, does it get you closer to win the actual election? Like, that's the goal of the thing. So to think about that, you have to think about, all right, who's watching this debate? You're going to have tens of millions of people tuned into this, no doubt. But of the people who get surveyed and are likely to vote, like you said earlier, about 6, maybe 4, or even 3% of people were undecided going into this. The people who are undecided at this point between Trump and Biden, you know, those are the people who are among the least likely to be tuning into this entire debate. You know, if you care enough about politics to have made up your mind, and this you're more likely to watch it. If you haven't made up your mind, you're somebody who this is just not remotely top of your mind. And we have to remember that there are 100+ million people in this country that don't even vote. They're like, y'all take care of this. You go vote. I'm not that interested in politics, period. And some of those people do vote because they feel like it's their duty. They haven't made up their minds, so they probably didn't watch it. So that means almost everybody watching this debate had already made up their minds, which is a huge difference from 2016, where
Absolutely.
Hillary had all these huge leads, but they were leads that were like 43-40 or 44-41. Whereas even if some of the margins are the same, you have Biden showing leads of like, 52-48. It's like everybody having made up their minds. And so Trump would have had to flip people, like you guys are saying. Like he would have had to not just kind of win, but he has to win so decisively that people who had already made up their minds for Biden are saying, you know what, this guy was so good and Biden was so bad that I'm actually with Trump now, which is hard because what you got tonight is just pure Trump. And it's the same thing he's been doing for 4 years. So if it didn't move people yet, why exactly did it move them tonight?
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone is having their minds changed. My fear right now is that given the lower enthusiasm that Joe Biden has in his base of support, my fear always is, will this actually cause less people to go out and vote? And you kind of pointed to this as well. There's a lot of people who are not voting in this country. Will this drive turnout? Absolutely not. This is negative campaigning. This depresses turnout overall. I don't think that this debate performance will drive turnout for either side. I don't think anyone watches this debate and goes, I wasn't going to vote leading up to this moment, but now that I've seen these two old fucks yell at one another, and one is doddering and the other one is like out of his mind, spitting everywhere, I'm motivated to vote. No, I don't think that's going to happen. My fear always is this actually going to lower turnout for Joe Biden? I don't think so overall. Like I said, I think Joe Biden is the front runner right now, and he didn't actually have a significant brain fart moment or anything like that. And we don't know how Republicans are going to weaponize this debate, but there wasn't really a lot of opportunities to weaponize this debate is what I mean. Like Trump had some slam dunks early on. He rolled over Biden a little bit. He battered him a little bit. I think Biden needs to be more combative, but ultimately, given that Joe Biden is the front runner, it's still his race at the moment.
It's his race to lose, right? It's his race to lose,
Yes.
and I don't think that he did anything to contribute to losing the debate, losing the race in this debate, which is a win for the Biden campaign. Like Ryan alluded to, these margins that Trump needs to close and flip are significant, and they are in cases much larger than 2016. Washington Post, ABC News poll came out this morning showing that Biden has a 9-point lead in Pennsylvania. Right.
Yep.
That is a large margin and a margin that's larger than 2016. So
Austin, Philadelphia is bad. It's bad.
I know.
It's bad.
Believe me.
They're not letting my poll watchers go there.
Look, but what I'm saying, and I know everybody's going to say the polls are wrong in 2016. Well, that's not entirely true, right? In there were places where it was correct, like Florida and yada, yada. Well, we could get into that all day long.
Yeah, let's not talk about Florida right now anyways. That's a whole different can of worms.
Well, yeah, right. But yeah, I think we should. I do want to talk about the Proud Boys comment because I think that was really bad. I actually thought that Trump was going to have a layup. I thought he was going to do it. I really didn't. I don't understand how damaging that would be. I actually thought that he would just say they're bad, but he didn't.
No, it's brilliant.
Like,
you want to know why it's brilliant? Are you ready for this? It's fucking brilliant. Trump never takes the fucking bait. He always stays on message. A normal human being is supposed to say, yeah, of course I condemn white supremacists. Shut the fuck up. But that comes along with an admission that you actually control the white supremacists. Okay? That's the reality. That's the gotcha. And Joe Biden, hook, line, and sinker, always eats the fucking bait. He literally swallows the bait entirely and makes himself the bait. So much so that, like, maybe at certain points in his life, He thinks he legitimately is the Antifa battalion commander. Like, don't ever say I condemn Antifa. Don't ever say it. Just do exactly what Donald Trump has been doing, which is, what are you talking about, Jack? It's the white supremacists that's the problem. That's what Joe Biden is supposed to be doing. That's what Joe Biden is supposed to do always. But the fact that Donald Trump didn't do that, of course, is going to have devastating consequences, as we're already seeing that Proud Boys on social media groups are going wild about the stand back and stand by comment. I mean, he couldn't even fucking say stand down to white nationalist paramilitary groups that literally have killed more people. Donald Trump supporters have killed more people than Antifa ever could imagine killing. Antifa has like one self-defense kill now. If we're looking at the KDA there, Antifa's looking real bad in comparison to far-right anti-government extremists, which are responsible for more than 80% of domestic terror incidents since 9/11 in this country. So, they're white supremacists. Trump supporters are actually the violent ones. This is according to Trump's very own Department of Homeland Security investigations. This is according to Trump's own FBI investigations, that white supremacists are truly a threat to American democracy and truly a threat to American national security. And yet Trump can't condemn them, so that and instead keeps emboldening them. This will be devastating on the ground and truly harmful. However, it's the right thing for Trump to do politically, I guess, messaging wise.
I've got a question for you.
Shoot.
Do we have any metric to measure turnout or right now? Do we have any metrics that indicate that turnout is positive, or there's more turnout than at this point in 2016?
Well, yes. I mean, what you can, there's a number of there's a number that Pew put out recently that says essentially how important is this election, and some insane number like 83% called it extremely important, whereas in 2016 it was in the 60s. So like that alone is a huge jump. And all throughout the primaries this year, we've seen huge turnout, and we are seeing like huge absentee ballot requests.
Yeah,
that have swamped previous numbers. So there is both kind of survey and also actual data to look at that says that turnout is going to it's going to blow out previous numbers, but it's still going to be way below most other industrialized countries.
I will bring in XQC in a little bit, guys. Okay, I will. I'll talk to him as well. But right now, let's do a little bit more analysis while we have Ryan here. I'm already taking up too much time from him and like talking over him. So I will bring in XQC in a little bit, though. Okay, chill the fuck out. Anyway, where were we? So
the Proud Boys stuff, I do think it's awful that they got platformed at this level.
Yeah,
it's gonna have dangerous ramifications just from the kind of normalization of them being in a debate and Trump not condemning them. And I bet the media will pick up a lot on this being borderline another Charlottesville moment of having an opportunity to condemn white supremacy and instead just pivoting immediately to Antifa. And that's another thing that it doesn't play well pretty much anywhere outside of a very small sliver of his base, but it plays terribly among the people who left Trump for that exact reason, that they're ashamed of him and they don't want to be associated with him. And so the idea that is going to bring them back, it just doesn't wash.
Yeah, no, he's not making, like, he's not doing anything to win over. Trump's strategy is not different than 2016 in many ways, and that's a problem because it's not 2016, it's 2020, and Trump has been president for 4 years, and we've seen the impact of what happens when in the aftermath of Trump being president for 4 years. So it's a little different. It's a little different there, but also he's just going for his base of support. He's just hammering in his base of support as best as possible, and his goals are pretty obvious. I think that he's just going to try to steal the election as best as he can. He's going to try to depress voter turnout by saying, your vote doesn't count, your vote doesn't matter, don't vote by mail. If you vote by mail, no one will actually count your vote. And then legally, he's going to try to do everything he can, similar to like the 2000 Florida decision, right? If it's ever close enough, you bet your ass they're going to halt recounts, right? Especially if it favors Trump in any of the places, in any of the states. And ultimately, I think he's going to just try to declare himself the winner on election night. But this debate performance didn't give him what he wanted. This debate performance did not, I think, move the needle for him significantly. It only solidified his base of support. Maybe got a little bit more. Some Republicans that were maybe in the margins, they feel more confident in Trump now because they like a strong man. They think that a strong man is what's necessary right now. You know what I mean? Maybe they really do buy into the law and order message. But overall, I think that this is not about the popular vote. This election is not going to be won on. This election is not going to be won for Trump, at least, by winning the Electoral College. I think it's going to be won by trying to depress voter turnout and then trying to steal the election as best as he possibly can. I mean, it's completely unacceptable and inappropriate that he's talking about no peaceful transfer of power. I mean, every single one of his answers were completely psychotic. I mean, they were insane. Like, that's our president at this point, 4 years in. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I also think that Biden did. I think Biden did terribly. Like, yeah, he may have won, but the fear about him is that he would bleed from his eyes and his teeth would fall out, and he just collapsed in a heap right there. And so because that was the fear, he cleared the bar. He kept his body together. Yeah, and he got off some zingers here and there that people will remember. Like, when you say, "Oh, he didn't stand up to the bully," well, he told him to shut up, or
he called him a clown.
Called him a clown. So he got in a couple of little things, but he just what is it with the Democratic Party that this is the guy that they felt they had to go into this battle with, a competent candidate would have just made mincemeat of Trump's performance. Now, but like you guys said, that Biden's plan here is to have this election be a referendum on Trump. Trump's polling against a generic Democrat was always terrible throughout 2018, 2019, and so they elected the most generic Democrat they could find, and Biden just wants to stay generic Democrat. So generic, he had this amazing line where he's like, the Green New Deal will pay for itself by the investments that it will make and what it will return. And so Wallace says, do you support the Green New Deal? And he says, no. Like that
was so bad.
Actually happened.
Like, that's so bad. I love that Donald Trump keeps saying, you lost the radical left. That was so funny to me. Like, no, he didn't. Like, that's not
Trump
a
doesn't
thing.
know the radical
like,
left.
Who the fuck is like, oh yeah, I'm terrified of like 4 more years and like potential legitimate authoritarian fascism coming to America as a radical lefty, but Joe Biden said he doesn't want the Green New Deal, so I guess I'm not voting anymore. Like, that is not a real person, okay? That person only exists in the minds of people who have brain disease from watching MSNBC and think that like the real threat to American democracy are Bernie bros on the internet who are being mean by fucking sending emojis to their favorite news anchors. Those people are complete psychopaths. That kind of like mythical leftist does not exist. Okay? But as Ryan also correctly pointed out, there are a lot of people, 46.4% of the eligible voter population that does not vote. For example, the black and brown populations, when you look at that, like Trump doing a lot better than I would have expected with the Hispanic vote. Obviously, Florida's a big driver of that, and that's a entirely different conversation when we look at voter patterns and the Hispanic population there with Cubans and Venezuelans. But Trump doing decently with the black vote as well. And on top of that, potentially lower turnout amongst black voters. While there is a higher turnout amongst white voters, white suburban voters, as we talked about already, Joe Biden is making gains in that area. I am still fearful that black vote turnout might be lower. Joe Biden had a good answer on that, by the way. I think that his answer on like why black people should vote for him was decent. When asked the same question to Donald Trump, he literally pivoted to law and order and cops, which should give you exactly what he thinks about black people, which is, oh, black people? You mean law and order cops? We need to fuck them up. Like, it was insane. It is completely insane that, like, Donald Trump could not speak for more than 3 seconds about fucking black people and immediately pivoted to law and order cops. They're coming into the suburbs, which is just Nixon-era racial agitation at this point, nearly identical. Joe Biden pointed that out very well, too. I really like that. He said, this is not 1950s, Jack. He said, Hispanic and black and white are getting in a minivan and driving over to soccer practice or whatever the fuck he was trying to say. Like, I got the overall message. That was a good line from him. That was actually pretty good. Like, the suburbs are now integrated was actually good. Is it true? Not necessarily, but overall, it's like painting a picture of a diverse America that we want to live in. So I think that was a good line there as well. But the best line overall, the best thing that Joe Biden said was the statistics about how Donald Trump is not the savior of African Americans. When he turned around and he said, 1 out of every 1,000 black person in this country has died to COVID. And if things go along the same trajectory, 1 out of every 500 black person will die to COVID. That is an incredibly powerful number. And that is so real. That number, I didn't even fucking know that stat existed, by the way. That is an insanely powerful statistic. That is an incredibly powerful and incredibly devastating, sad reality that we exist under. And it so truly reflects the situation on the ground for black people who are by and large more likely to be essential service workers, who are by and large more likely to contract COVID as a consequence of that, who are more likely to have a COVID fatality or have a comorbidity, not enough access to healthcare. So I think that was really good as well. That was a very good line and unfortunately descriptive of how terrible the situation is for black people in this country. But yeah, those were definitely highlights that I can remember.
Watch in the coming days, Hasan. The conservative narrative is that Chris Wallace, Trump had to debate Chris Wallace and Joe Biden. I think that'll be the narrative that they run with.
I got some polls from CBS, by the way. Yeah, they will run with that, and that's good. You actually called that out correctly, Austin. That is cope, and every moment that they're coping means that they didn't think that Joe Biden did poorly, and you are correct on that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have some poll numbers for you guys. How did the debate make voters who watched feel, according to the CBS News poll? 69%, nice, that's the sex number, Ryan, if you weren't unfamiliar with that, said that they were annoyed. Entertained, 31% said that they were entertained, 90% said they were pessimistic, and 17% said that they were informed. I want to know who the fuck watched that debate and was like, I'm informed. I'm more informed.
I was informed about the degrading state of our republic.
Yeah, so that's cool. I think it's multiple choice, by the way, guys. That's why it's more than 100 people. So, yeah, I agree. I think it was really bad. It was really fucking annoying. Did Biden actually say inshallah? Was that a joke?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it.
I thought he
and you'll get to
said
see
that.
it.
I couldn't tell if he was
Let me just tell you,
trying
Chris,
to say
let me just say
something else if he
something.
said that.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see
I
it.
couldn't even
But
tell
let
if
me
he was
just tell
using it
you.
right because I couldn't
Oh
understand
man,
what
he's
he
a
was saying.
Muslim.
Wait, what are you saying,
What
Ryan?
was he saying before that?
Inshallah? I don't know.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Well, that's good. I mean, hey, got my vote. Let's go, baby. Hey,
I mean,
Sharia communism.
That word is creeping, into, more of the, kind of common vernacular.
Yeah, I say it
Like
sometimes.
it's making its way. because it's such a useful word.
Inshallah. Like it's just God willing is what it means, right?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Inshallah.
If you guys weren't on right now, I'd be blasting Hasanabi by Sami Yusuf, which is a staple on this stream, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. So, yeah, the Proud Boys thing was really bad. It's what he does. That's his style. He's not going to take ownership of the white supremacists or whatever. So, like, he's, of course, going to be able to run that, and that's going to have devastating outcomes on the ground, of course. But,
look, I think the annoyance from the debate comes from the fact that Trump disrespected the debate format consistently, and I think that stat actually favors Biden favorably. The fact that people were annoyed by that.
Right, that's a good point.
So, because Biden actually respected the debate, he at least tried to yield to the moderator.
yeah, I don't know if that were. Guys, I don't know if that's good.
Well, I think that's a positive for Biden. That's what I'm saying. We're looking at this point in the election, everything's out the window, Hassan. We have been talking for weeks about literally pumping a candidate full of drugs and wheeling his carcass across the finish line. We are beyond like anything but politics at this point, right? So
Ryan,
we
go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So when I analyze this debate, I don't analyze it to the depths that you are. I'm trying to analyze it from the depths of an average voter. And I think from an average voter, we just want some degree of return to normalcy. Anything. Like I said, I literally, I do believe I would vote for a tuna fish sandwich if they were running for the Democratic ticket. And that tuna fish sandwich would have just sat up on that debate stage and won that debate decisively in my eyes. Seriously. I think so we're beyond that point of judging this debate based on the details. I think you just look at it from a sort of a big picture point of view.
Okay, so maybe Trump's actions are backfiring. If you look at the 69%, like it looks like maybe people are fed up with Trump's antics, possibly because it also reminds them of the material consequences of having a man baby in a position of power. You know what I mean? It's like a somber reminder that like it's not an accident that 205,000 people have died of coronavirus. Like this fucking dipshit acts this way literally inside of the White House, and that's why we are in the situation that we're in. While it plays well to his base is diminishing, as you've also pointed out. I wanted to ask you, Ryan, what the fuck's going on with this election poll watcher? Trump just actually posted, volunteer to be a Trump election poll watcher. Sign up today, #MakeAmericaGreatAgain. And the link goes to Army for Trump.
Yeah, this is some extraordinarily dangerous stuff. And we're in a situation where we have a two-party system, and one of the parties is playing for absolute keeps, and the other party is, you saw Joe Biden is, everybody go vote. He clearly does not have a plan to counteract Trump's attempt to erase whatever his big deficit is by intimidating people at the polls, by slowing the vote down sufficiently so that he can claim that he won, throw it into the courts, and then have the courts declare him the victor. He's been quite clear that that's his strategy, and these poll watchers are a central part of this. That this is something that Li Fong has written about this for us. This is something that
Little
he's
Nazi
been
shit.
he's been putting it together for a very long time. This is the first time, the Republicans have been enjoined legally from doing this for something like 20 years or so. And that injunction is up this cycle. So this is the first time that they can kind of legally harass within certain limits voters at polling places. And they've been planning to take advantage of it for a couple of years now. And this Army for Trump is exactly that. So on election day, you're going to see videos all over Twitter and social media of nut jobs at polling places, messing with people, and it's going to create chaos all day long, and it's going to feed into Trump's argument that all of this is chaos. You can't trust anything, and so therefore I'm going to take power. And so it's going to require a Democratic Party that's able to stand up to that and make sure that Biden is actually the one that is declared the victor if it appears that he's going to be the one. If it appears that he's the one that has more votes. The Democratic problem often is that they say, well, let's make sure we do the process right. We want to make sure all the votes are counted. Make sure everything is nice and fair here. While the Republicans are saying, no, we won. It's over. And you repeat that enough, and it just then starts appearing to people that they won. And hey, it's in the courts. So that's the process. That's all Democrats wanted. And then lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, the courts end their process and say that, yes, Trump was right. He won. So even in the depths of his like 9-point deficit in Pennsylvania, there's a reason that he kept bringing up Pennsylvania and Philadelphia in particular. That's going to be ground zero probably for his strategy to say, look, I won Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is going to try to steal it. They're corrupt. You need to stop them from counting all of these illegal votes. I won. It's over.
By the way, this isn't all that unique to Donald Trump. I mean, the election day team electioneering is actually kind of new, I guess. But I mean, this is exactly the Brooks Brothers riot method. Like, I mean, they did this before. Yep. Liberals love to forget about how awful the George W. Bush administration was, and I certainly wasn't old enough, but as a Muslim boy looking at America from Turkey, I saw how devastating it was, and I still remember and was fascinated by the political process in America, and this is exactly like that. This is basically the continuation or the expansion on that kind of election rigging that Republicans routinely engage in, and as a matter of fact, is literally a part of their electoral strategy. Vote suppression is a fundamental part of how Republicans try to win elections. So this is wild to me overall and terrifying because, as you pointed out, that Democrats have no answer for it. There's no counter to it. There's no way to secure the integrity of the ballot and to stop people from intimidating and harassing others at polling stations. But yeah, I don't know. This does concern me a lot. You said that you're going to see videos. Sorry, you said that you're going to see videos of people going to polling places and getting kicked out wearing Trump supporting like Trump gear and whatnot. It's already happened. I think it happened in
right.
Did it happen in Nova already? Like, what places have started voting? So,
and their goal, it happened in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Nova too. Yeah. And their goal is for people to see that and then say, maybe I just don't even bother. But Austin, there's a you guys. So the CBS News poll also has a who won the debate.
Yeah,
and it kind of, I think, dovetails with the point that you were making because it tracks basically with the national poll. Biden's roughly up. He's up like 48-41 roughly, and that's the exact number where. So everybody said their guy won.
Yeah. Sort of, as to what you guys had said, it didn't do enough or what you said, Ryan, it didn't do enough to flip anybody. So I was actually going to say that earlier. The poll sort of falls on partisan lines.
Right. And he needed to somehow move people who had already settled.
Right. Which it wasn't enough. It didn't do enough. So again, I think that's why it's sort of a win for Biden.
No, anything short of Biden collapsing on stage is not going to be enough for Trump.
Now,
and Trump doesn't have that in him.
And Hasan, just to give you an idea of how liberals are feeling, Democrats are feeling across the country, my parents are blowing up my phone right now. My mom was terrified last night. And Ryan, just to give you some context, my parents are, in their 60s, Democrats.
They believe Joe Biden has a stutter. That's the kind of liberal they are. They think Joe Biden only has a stutter and he's not experiencing cognitive decline.
But those like my mom is I'm sure ecstatic because she was when I saw her on Sunday, she was very nervous. She was 3 or 4 vodka sodas in, I could tell she was coping, so just to give you an idea of sort of I feel like how people are feeling tonight.
Yeah. There was some other stuff that I want to talk about with as far as like the highlights. Do you guys have any other memorable moments from the debate that you want to talk about? I mean, I think at this point it's
him
pretty
admitting,
obvious.
him bragging about executing somebody in the street was quite something.
Wait, when did that happen? Did I miss that?
You know, where he said, Biden, you wouldn't do anything. Portland, they don't do anything. There was this guy walking around free for 3 days after he murdered somebody in Portland. I sent the marshals out and they killed him.
Yeah, no, he's been
dead.
doing that. Yeah, he has taken ownership.
Seen it on the debate stage. It's like, okay,
I didn't even notice that because like Joe Biden, did Joe Biden retaliate to that or reply to that?
No, he just did. Like that's the place we are in our politics, that Biden just let that sit.
So that's pretty wild. But that's actually literally at the heart of what I was criticizing Joe Biden over, which is like there were so many opportunities that he could have made a bigger deal out of that he certainly didn't. For those of you asking, I'm eating a mango sticky rice. Sorry, they keep asking me what I'm putting in my mouth.
Do you think the reason for that, Hassan, is they're just playing it safe? They just like he's just playing it safe. Just he doesn't want to give the appearance like he's off the hinges at all. Just sort of play it safe and let him look like a psychopath.
No, I think it's not deliberate. I think it's that a more astute, a more capable speaker would be able to dance around Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump overpowers. He's a bully, but a smart person would be able to poke holes at him, trigger him, annoy him. He's very thin-skinned. So a better person, a younger Joe Biden could, I think, do a better job of like pushing back against them and definitely making a larger deal out of the constant barrage of misinformation that you hear from Donald Trump and all the psychotic nonsense that he talks about on a daily basis. I mean, there's like around 35 things that I can probably rattle off the top of my mind that Donald Trump talked about that Joe Biden could have had a much better, more effective counter. Even his son talking about like, your Hunter, like that was a great deflection by Trump. Trump is so fucking good at that stuff. When Joe Biden was trying to have an emotional moment about Bo, about how he's not a loser. And he was like, oh, you mean Hunter? He's like, no, Bo. And he's like, well, what about Hunter? He got dishonorably discharged from the Navy for doing coke. And that was, he ended that. He ended that conversation. He ended that conversation dead in his tracks. Didn't allow Biden to have a moment to himself to at least even like have a moment to develop some sort of empathy from the audience, to cultivate some sort of empathy from the audience to Bo Hunter or to Bo Biden and what Donald Trump had said.
I wish in that moment he would have used that opportunity to go after Trump for being a draft dodger and yada, 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 and go after his own personal military, or lack thereof, acumen.
Go ahead. That was just a Frank Luntz. I'm seeing this on Twitter. Frank Luntz, how he does those focus groups.
Yeah.
Apparently, he went around to everybody. This is from Tim Alberto on Twitter, asking everyone to use one word to describe Trump tonight. Every single word was negative, and Ruthie went with crackhead. Meanwhile, when Frank asks everyone to associate a word or phrase with Biden, the vast majority are positive in nature, and several people say Biden was much sharper than they expected him to be, exceeded expectations, etc. Which, the left took a ton of heat in the spring and earlier in the campaign for talking about his evident cognitive troubles on the campaign trail and in debates, saying how dare everybody, what do you want to elect Donald Trump? Well, Trump's picking that up, really hurt him in this debate.
Yeah,
because it did set up. Yep. So the left can get a big thank you. Yep. For they can pretend that it was a trap that they were setting for Trump the entire time.
Yeah, no, it was pretty funny that that they caught on to that. That like the Trump campaign caught on to that mistake. The low expectation inevitably backfiring on them when Joe Biden started doing some rallies or some appearances where he was with it, Mm-hmm. He was delivering coherent and cohesive sentences, and people like he looked good on camera to a degree. in a controlled environment. And that's why you saw Donald Trump and his lackeys and Fox News try to
Reverse the
immediately
narrative.
start changing the narrative and start talking about drugs. Like, oh, Joe Biden's just doing performance enhancing drugs. Like, that's why he's doing better. Or Trump talking about how like we shouldn't underestimate Biden because he's doing drugs or because he has an earpiece, like that conspiracy. All of that was cope.
Yeah.
All of that was absolutely to try and like at least dig the bar from under the ground and maybe like elevate it a little bit so it wasn't so easy for Joe Biden to clear it.
It was a desperate attempt. Even you saw Donald Trump in his most recent rallies. He was, Biden's going to do fantastic. He's been doing this for a long time. I've only been doing this for 4 years, folks. Believe me, he's going to come out. He's going to be fantastic. Like he tried to reverse the narrative, and I don't think that it was too late at that point. Fox News, Hannity, remember? I think you were watching Hannity earlier. So it wasn't enough. And I think that they fell victim to the trap and the bar was really low and he passed the bar.
Yeah. He cleared it. He certainly cleared it. And yeah, there was some other stuff. What's up?
I think both Warren and Sanders would have cleaned his clock.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even most of the field. Actually,
I think Ryan. I think you would have cleaned his clock. I'll be honest with you.
Everyone would have though, but that's like everyone would have cleared that bar, and for some reason the DNC still is weirdly enough finding people that like only marginally demonstrate their capability of like dealing with it.
I know,
and not even well.
Hassan, let's look at the glass is half full, okay? The carcass is in the lead, and the carcass didn't drop the ball is what we thought it was going to be. So it's a positive in my eyes.
The carcass lives.
The carcass lives on, and we push him further. One day closer, right? We can breathe for a little bit because I do believe Kamala Harris is going to thump Mike Pussy Pence.
Yeah, but that's not as interesting. I don't think as many people pay attention to that.
I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to be excited about it.
Like people don't give a shit about that as much as the Trump Biden, and even if Kamala does well, that's another talking point for Donald Trump, for him to say stuff like, "Oh well, it's because this is a Kamala Harris administration," which he tried to do, which was kind of funny.
He won't concede that Pence lost the debate. There's no way.
No. He won't concede that Pence lost, but he'll say like, "Look at how fiery Kamala is. She's Antifa Kamala, even though she's a fucking cop." So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I do feel better overall because, like I said, Joe Biden didn't like absolutely destroy himself and everything that people had put together. So that's good.
I literally did whatever this is. I'm not even religious very much, and I just did that. I was hoping right when he started speaking. I was just like, Lord, please, if you're out there, please, Lord, just get this sentence. And it took me about 45 minutes to get comfortable that he wasn't going to have a brain explosion. And he didn't for the most. Whatever drug they put him on, their emergency drug, I don't know. I don't know. Right. I don't know what they're doing. But he looks, it seems like he looks different depending on the place he's in.
It's some sort of cocktail, I think, that they give everybody. It could be Adderall. It's probably like nootropics, definitely like B12. You know what I mean?
There was reporting that Obama used to take Provigil.
What is that, a beta blocker? Or like modafinil?
No, it's more in the, like, what do they call it? The smart drug. It's an upper of some sort, but it's kind of lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are operating at an extremely high level.
Oh, it's narcolepsy. Yeah, it is like modafinil. Okay, it is modafinil. Yeah, narcolepsy medication. It's something that pilots use as well. Yeah. I'm familiar. It's Yeah, it's not new. They do this stuff, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't give a shit. Good.
Right.
Like I'm
just seems like
all
they
in
do.
for performance enhancing drugs. I wanted Bernie Sanders to do TRT. I want him to do testosterone replacement therapy so he could be fucking jacked, and his bowling ball size head would fit appropriately to his body. I just want him to fix his neck muscles a little bit so it didn't look like his head was like constantly caving into his chest. Probably would have won. Probably would have swept every state in the fucking primaries if he did.
He might have. He might have.
You have no answer for sexy Bernie, okay? He was so powerful that Russians, remember when they were doing their election meddling or election interfering, and they had that Bernie coloring book, and he was fucking jacked in that. And I think that played a big part in the original 2016 elections. Sexy Bernie. But
I should sign off, Hassan.
okay. All right, well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. I am just excited for every opportunity that I can have you on here. You're a brilliant person. You're a great writer, an even better investigative reporter. So I'm really happy that you chose to bless us with your hours tonight. You probably get called by everyone, and you were like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it with Hassan."
I'm doing this one right here. You're too kind. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Ryan, thank you so much. I hope I didn't make you mauled too much.
No.
My lip takes.
Great. There were quite good lib takes.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah,
Right.
no, his lip takes were great.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan, where can people find you?
Oh, you find me on the internet. But yeah, go get a free month of Audible and download my book, and then cancel Audible. And then, so we'll call that some Amazon synergy. Don't they own this platform too?
Ryan is literally engaging in audible meddling. Like, this is how the Antifa operates, folks. We got him.
That's right. We got him.
Once again, Ryan is the Washington, D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept. He wrote an incredible book. I highly recommend it, called We've Got People, detailing and tracking the changes within the Democratic Party from following Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, as well as Rahm Emanuel. He's awesome. And you can find his writing on The Intercept. And he also guest hosts and is filling in currently for Mehdi Hassan on the incredibly successful, incredibly popular podcast, Deconstructed, for The Intercept. Always a pleasure to have you, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
All right, bye, Ryan. Austin, do you want to stay on?
What's going on next?
Nothing. I'm just gonna look through videos and stuff. If you want to, then that's fine. If you don't, then I'm gonna go do my own analysis.
Yeah, do your analysis, because I really think you need that with your audience. You need that time with your audience. But I appreciate you having me on. I will be, if you will have me, I will be ready for next week's debate. Really enjoyed my time here, and I'm very happy with the outcome.
Yeah, no, you were great. I'm so proud of you, dude. You came such a long way from the fucking high mess that you were originally when you first came on. I love that you took your Bernie.
I had my Bernie scarf.
Yeah, you took your Bernie scarf off because midway through you were ashamed. You were like, "Fuck, Joe, I need to give critical support to Joe Biden. Fuck, I can't be seen with this scarf."
I just want to say this is the exact same outfit that I wore to the Bernie rally in Boston that I'm wearing right now with the scarf that I chilled. I was,
when you were freezing to death, dying as well, and may have had coronavirus.
Yeah, but again, I want to conclude. I think it was a net positive for Joe Biden, net negative for conservatives. You can see by Ben Shapiro's tweet. They can't claim victor means that they lost. That he mentioned earlier that Chris Wallace, Trump had to debate multiple people. They're just coping at this point. So
well,
I think
I have a Ben Shapiro tweet up right now, and he says, "I literally have no idea who won this debate. I just know we all lost," which is exactly what someone who is coping would say. So you made a really good point there when you said that it seems like they're coping.
They are. I mean, I think they are, and I think that's a positive for. And to your point about enthusiasm, I actually think that this takes a shot. If any enthusiasm is decreased, I think this takes a shot at conservative enthusiasm because their expectation was that Trump was going to go in and wallop a completely mentally incompetent Biden. So, if anything, I don't know if their enthusiasm is going to drop on either side. I would say probably not. But
No,
if
they're
there
definitely
was
not. I don't think.
drop,
I don't think Republicans. I don't think the Republican base gets smaller than it already is.
right.
I think this is it. This is the base that goes to the grave. You know what I mean? These are the foot soldiers. Like they will ride or die with the cause, for better or for worse. So
I think that the Proud Boys comment was incredibly negative for the ground game on Election Day specifically, and incredibly damaging to our democracy. But I do think that the Democrats will leverage that politically to potentially drive more turnout, specifically for.
I think you have a lot more faith in Democrats than I do. Still.
Well, I mean, they're already using it. Joe Biden has quoted it. I think that they're already using it. Joe Biden, the Twitter
yeah, no,
account.
I retweeted it already. I'm fucking libbed up. I'm libbed up.
Yeah, I'm libbed up. I'm telling you, I'm gonna call my mom and dad. My mom. Not only did she call me, she FaceTimed me. That's how I know my mom is excited about this. My dad called me twice. Okay, they're libbed up to the max. So okay. Anyway, Hasan, you have a great. Thank you for having me. And you have a great night. Thanks, everybody.